Okay, so today I'm going to introduce you to I Feel Pretty. And that's the best word that comes to mind when I'm wearing this kit. I'm wearing it right now and I definitely feel pretty. This lavender base is so easy to wear, covers many age ranges from the very young to the mature woman. Anytime you feel like you can't wear purple or color in general, this is going to be the way to do it. I'm bringing back Starlit Dawn, one of our favorites, and I just hope that you enjoy this look. I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I'll talk to you soon. All right, Starless, so we're gonna work in the I Feel Pretty kit today, which is like a lavender base. Here's the cream Evershadow that I'm gonna use. It's beautiful, it's kind of iridescent. It's a really easy color to pull off. And with this formulation, it's so creamy, we're gonna be able to blend it to a nice soft color, or we can build the color, so.
I'm excited. It looks so pretty on you. So.
Thank you. Yeah, with this color, purples usually complement all skin tones, as well as eye coloring. So this is how I like to wear purples because it makes my eyes look more green. So I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to hug that lash line using my concealer brush. And just going all the way across the lash line. And then I'm going to start going upwards. At this point, I'm just trying to get the product on the lid. So I'm using this concealer brush because it's a densely packed brush and it's going to be nice and stiff, and as I like to call it, bossy. It's going to put that shadow where I want it, and then I can use a nice soft fluffy brush to blend it. So this color is perfect for having the option of wearing color when you think that you don't have that option. It's an easy one to start with and get comfortable with. So I'm just blending all around the edges, that way it's nice and soft. Once this dries and it sets, it's going to be creaseless and water resistant. Just a little bit. And that's what I was talking about with this cream formulation. It glides on. I can blend it really, really easily. Turn towards me a little bit. There we go. And I'm just hugging that lash line. But I can blend it without having to worry about tugging and pulling, because all that tugging and pulling that you do now is encouraging wrinkles later. Now you notice when I'm adding the product, I want it to be more intense down towards the lash line and smoke upwards. So I'm continuously starting with my placement here lower and then moving up, because the first place that my brush touches, that's where it's going to deposit the most amount of product. So I want to be really careful with that. I'm not going to start up here. I'm not even doing anything up there, so I'm going to stay low. Just patting it, getting it all over, making sure that coverage is really nice and even. And then I'm going to take my medium fluffy again and just buff it out. So again, you can do less of the cream shadow and have just a light wash of the lavender, or you can continue to build it by patting on more. So I haven't even added a powder shadow at this point. I just have the cream Evershadow base. I also love this Evershadow with the colors from Birthday Suit. So crossing the kits, they all work together. All right, that's so beautiful. All right, so what I'm going to do, so I'm going to add the lavender shadow that's in the kit just to set this. And I'm going to use the same medium fluffy brush. Now I'm tapping, just using my finger to tap, making sure that any excess powder is going to come off so I don't have any fallout underneath her eye. I also don't have a big spot of where I've applied the shadow. So I want it to be more intense towards that crease, so I'm going to start there and just bring it over. I'm just patting it all the way. Turn towards me. Really nice and easy. This color is great for daytime as well as transitioning into evening. All right. Now I still have some of the cream shadow on this concealer brush. There's nothing on this brush, just a clean one, so I'm just kind of dusting. So a little tiny mark here. So if you ever get any kind of fallout or anything here, using a clean brush to kind of sweep away really lightly, not pushing it into your skin, but just kind of flicking it off. That's really nice and easy. A fan brush is wonderful for that. So I'm going to take the product that's still on this concealer brush, and look up for me, Starla, and I'm going to hug that lash line and just bring it straight across. If you need more, add it. If you don't, don't. I'm going to make sure before I add that I have it as even as possible. So now it's really light. Now I can add some more. I'm going to start with this eye, adding a little to the lash line and bringing it over. Just really hugging that lash line. Bringing that all the way over. Now, if you don't like a look that has color below and you just want it on top, then just skip this step completely. Remember, make it your own. I'm just giving you the idea of what I was thinking of when I put this kit together. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the brow area. So, hi. We're going to use this light bone color underneath her brow before I start to shape, okay? And I'm going to use the angled. Now all the brushes that I'm using are in our travel brush set. It's the top brushes that I feel like you need as far as starting, like the essentials. So what I'm doing is I'm just dragging that color all the way underneath the brow. Now the line that I'm hugging is her brow line. Then I'm just going to bring that down. Now the reason I'm doing this step at this point is because her natural contour is showing up. So before I add anything in there, I want you to see that by having the contrast of the light here with the purple down here, it automatically adds the effect of it being almost a taupe within that contour line. So then you can see if you need more. Flip my brush around, make sure my longer bristles are out, and hug her brows. Look straight ahead. So if I wanted to make this eye more intense, I can go into my brow duo and actually add a little bit of that in the contour. So first I'm going to actually put the brow duo on her brows, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the excess in there and just see what happens. So I'm going to start with the lighter, and I am still using this angled brush. I did my light, so now I'm not worried about adding a little bit of the dark to it. I'm just filling in some of the gaps. Starla has great eyebrows. So another question I get all the time is, where do you arch your brows? That's a big one. So your peak is actually gonna, if you look straight ahead in the mirror, I'd like to take a brush and you want to cut right across your pupil. And that's where that peak is, and that's exactly where she has it. Where you want to start it is that inner corner. Take your brush, and you can see she didn't cut herself short there. So we've got a nice frame for that window. Across outer corner, and that's where it's going to go. So we're going to extend it just a touch. When you're doing your brows, just make sure you're using really light strokes. Start with the lighter color in the brow duo. So I'm working with that one. And then I'm going to go into the darker. Adding 2 colors to your brows is more realistic to what your natural brows look like. If you take a look at them, there's not one color. So that way we make it as natural as possible. Turn towards me a little bit more. There you go. Thank you. Just extend that tail just a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to tap into the dark and just fill a little bit. And I'm just touching it. I want it to have more of a hair-like brush stroke, so that's why I'm just tapping and leaving myself room to add more if I need. If you go crazy and your brows end up looking like you penciled them with a Sharpie, then magic eraser, boom, use a Q-tip, blend it out. At this point, we can use our brow gel and just seal in the product and also keep the hairs nice and groomed. So I'm brushing this upwards. You always want the hairs to be straight up. And I use the Q-tip just because I had a little excess up here, so I'm just taking that down. You can also use the brow gel as a clear mascara. Okay, so now we're going to use the angled brush with whatever product is still left over. And close your eyes for me, Starla. I'm going to add that right in the contour. So even when you don't think there's anything left, there really is. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's adding just a touch of intensity. Again, I'm going to go turn towards me a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit in here with the same amount. You always want to make sure you even it up before you add more product. Building, building, building is the key. So I'm going back into the dark. Just adding a little bit. Now, if you don't have a defined contour area, look straight ahead. What you want to do is you want to look at yourself in the mirror and you'll see your contour. Now, what I always recommend doing is putting maybe a dot or some of the shadow that you want to have in your contour as a guideline. So that way you can see, all right, I know that when I open my eyes, this is going to still be visible. That's always tragic when you spend all this time on beautiful eyelids and then you open it and no one knows it's there. Like, but I spent so much time there. I'm going to go back in with my medium fluffy. Just kind of blend it a little bit. Now, if I wanted to add much more of that color, I would use the angle and actually really load it in there and then blend it. Okay, so that's where that angled fluffy would work really nicely. I'm just going to use it since I'm in here, just kind of blend it, making sure there's no hard lines. Oh my goodness, this color is so iridescent, it's beautiful. You can also go back to this brush, which is the angled, look straight ahead, and use that to just hug the lash line. Just whatever makeup residue is still left, we're going to use it. One of our core values for our beauty agency Dollface is do more with less. So this is one of those situations where you can absolutely do more with less. Okay. So now I'm going to move into using the gel eyeliner pencil. And what I'm going to do is actually, close your eyes for me, Starla. I'm going to use little dots across the lash line. And what I'm going to do is actually connect the dots because I want this look to be really soft. I don't want any hard lines. This is actually the look I teach in my Ageless Beauty class. And one of the main things is no hard lines. Using color in a way to be really nice and youthful and bright, but fresh all at one time, which can be difficult when you're standing in front of tons of options. So I'm going to grab my Q-tip and blend that together. Now I'm going to go back into the spots, the gaps that are in between those dots, add a little bit more. This will help you build confidence on where to add your eyeliner. So really soft. I'm hugging that line and just really working it into that lash line. And I'm going to blend. All right. So another idea is adding the eyeliner through the waterline, and that'll make your lashes look longer.
You use such a soft hand when you do it. Must be what I'm not doing.
Well, you know, the pencil is so, look at this. That's crazy.
So it goes on really easily.
Yeah, it's just gliding on. So as far as me having to tug and pull to get the product on, the product's working with me. So I'm just guiding it.
So much easier.
Yes. So if you're pulling and tugging and you're skipping and dragging, there's a problem. It doesn't have to be that way. All right, so we're going to go down to the lower lashes. So look up for me, and I'm going to do that same process of just doing tiny little dots. If you don't want to add dark underneath this area, again, just skip it, make it your own. So light. I'm giving myself room to add more. And I keep using this angled brush. Not only does it still have some product on it, but it's a great way to blend along this lash line and keep it really nice and precise. I'm just working that all the way through. Another trick that you can do to add more eyeliner are tiny little circles and just working that all the way through. I mean, there's barely any pressure. I could bump this liner just up against you and that would be enough. Yeah.
And you know how sensitive I am around my eyes.
I know. All right, so look again. Great. You see how we're just building that? That's the goal. And again, you can make this look more intense, less. This is about mid-range. Okay, so the next color that I'm going to work with is the champagne color that's in your palette. I'm also going to use the medium fluffy. Tap that in, and I'm going to show you where I'm going to use it. So now we've got the rule of 3. My ring finger is where the highlight is going to go. My middle finger is where the blush is going to go. And my index is pointing exactly to where I want that contour to be. So I know there's always a question. So we want to work right underneath that cheekbone. Get familiar with your facial structure. Know where that indentation is, and that's what you're trying to follow. So again, highlight, blush, contour, and we're going to go with the highlight now. So I loaded my brush, tapping off the excess so I don't have a bright spot of highlight, and I'm going to work into a little bit of a C. So with highlight, you want to make sure that you're hitting the high points of the face. Turn towards here. And the most important spot is you want to hit that inner corner. This is the darkest spot on everyone, so I want to make it as reflective as possible. I mean, within reason. We don't want it to be crazy. Nice and light. Blending it, bringing it down. And then I can sweep this over. I can even sweep this across the lid. You have options. So I'm not going to sweep it under her brow. I'm actually going to pull this down a little bit. I'm going to use this almost like a concealer. I love to do this before my foundation and make it reflective. So I'm keeping the highlight within her eyes in the triangle area. So I really want to bring this a lot of light and make it as bright and fresh as possible while keeping it nice and natural. So that's why I want to pull it down. You don't want to lose this when you start contouring. I'm just blending it. Haven't added any more product. I'm just using what's on there. Turn this way. Get the C over here. Now I did add a little more product. And now I'm just blending it. I like to use this brush because since it's small, I can really control where it's going. Shimmer in the right places. So we're going to add a little bit of shimmer right above her Cupid's bow, and that's going to add a nice bit of highlight to make her lips look a little pouty.
Oh my girl doesn't want full lips, right?
I know, that's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to go down the bridge of your nose. Add that there. Just making sure that all that's blended. All right, beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to add the bronzer side, and I'm going to use that as my contour. Then I'm going to use a fluffy powder brush to do that. And now we're going to introduce a new rule of 3. So I'm going to follow her hairline, tuck under her cheekbone, and then go along her jawline. And I'm going to do that on both sides, and that together is going to make an 8. So really lightly adding that in. Turn towards me. There you go. Super easy. That way you hit all your placement without having to give it too much thought. And so you just keep doing that over and over again until you reach your desired level of contour. I'm going to brush just a little bit of the excess down her neck. Just making sure no hard lines. Okay, so my next step is blush. So we've opened up a nice window for the blush to go, and that's where I'm going to grab my color and use that same blush brush, same powder brush. So I'm tapping off the excess because I don't want to put a nice pink mark right there that I have to blend out. So I tapped off the excess. I'm going to stick close to her hairline and just use small circles. That way I'm buffing as I'm applying and just bringing that down. Now remember, we want to keep that triangle open. So I'm really keeping her outer corner as my guide. So you've got the hairline, outer corner. That's about that pocket I want to stay in. There are so many different ways to do blush, but this is really my favorite kind of universal way because you're following your personal facial structure. Turn towards me. And just keep buffing. If you ever feel that you've gotten too much on the skin and you're not sure what to do, grab your foundation brush. If it has a little bit of foundation on it, and that'll help tone it down. This blush also has a really pretty shimmer that you can see. There you go. Ooh, that's so pretty. We're gonna buff it out. There you go. You want more blush? Just add it. That's great. Now with this look, we can also add, or instead of doing a powder blush, we can do a cream. So, do you like a cream blush? I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah, I love cream blush.
Yeah, cream blush is great if you have drier skin. Also, it gives you that more natural finish. With a cream, you're going to be able to blend it in. I know it's really tricky as far as placement is concerned. You're going to follow that same guideline that we talked about. You're just going to add in the cream, but I would do it before your foundation. That way it looks like you're glowing from within, you know, like that natural blush. For your lips, I'm going to add, I do too, I love it. I'm going to add just a little bit with my brush right in the center. Really, really, really soft. I'm showing this as an option. If you want to just add the gloss, that's completely fine. But I love using the pink as a cream blush and as a lip stain. You get more wear out of your lip gloss when you give it something for when the gloss wears down for it to go to. And that was like the tiniest little dot, and that just made that happen.
I love multi-use products. Like anytime I can get a product that has multiple uses, that just makes me so happy.
Oh yeah, and I wanted you to get more bang for your buck. You know, that way we use the eyeshadow as a highlight. We use the brow duo as not only as a contour, but also for your brows. You could use it as a shadow color. And now we're using lips as cheeks and all that. And if you figure out more ways to use it, please let me know. All right, so this is the gloss that's included with I Feel Pretty. It's just a really soft petal pink. I'm just gonna go right over. So tell me what you think.
Oh, I love this eye color. It's so pretty. I could see what everybody was talking about.
Yeah.
So iridescent in the highlight.
So this is a really sophisticated pull together look that can be dressed up or down. You know, based on your comfort level, you'll be able to pull it off because it's just that easy.
And purple's such an easy color to wear.
Mm-hmm. I see more of the green in your eyes right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually pretty hidden. It does make them pop a lot more.
Yeah, seriously, purple is one of my all-time faves. So, thanks, Darla.
Thank you.